Blessed Rising family, one love, what's up? Jesse Tree here. Hope you're having a beautiful day. Giving thanks for another beautiful day here in northern New Mexico. The fruit trees are blooming and blossoming, and the sun is rising. Just got to finish sun gazing and about to be joined by my teacher and good friend Elitom El Amin. And we're going to jive a little bit about breatharianism. And I see that he is request to join. So let me bring him on here while people join. Hi, Haruka Bird. One love. Let's see. I've had sometimes it's working.
All
Hey,
right, we're working.
Tom.
Good to see you.
You
All
too.
right.
Blessings. How you doing, brother?
Now let me see that this turn around just right.
Yeah. Take your time there.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right.
Beautiful day to
Let's get this
you.
just right. Oh man. Yes, indeed. Well, this is the closest I could get it to be face up.
That looks
But this is good.
pretty good.
Yeah, we rolling.
Yeah. Yeah, great
We're
to
trying
see
to.
you.
Oh, it's good to be seen. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Good to be
Thank you for
seen.
coming on. Miss you. Been so
Oh,
long.
so long. And thanks for the invite because this is needed. We got to catch up every once in a while. Plus, as we talk, it benefits others as we get the, how should we say, stirring up the pot. This
Yes,
cosmic
indeed.
flow.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the consciousness connected, right?
Oh,
All
without a
consciousness
doubt.
connected as one. And
And
when
everybody's on their journey.
we get our consciousnesses together, it's just remembering, you know.
Oh, without a doubt. And everybody's on their journey, that's for sure. Sharing journeys here and there, but everybody's on their journey. But I think what will
Yeah.
help people is that, how should we say, you meet people on a journey. That don't mean it's going to last forever.
Mm-hmm.
All journeys come to an end as you're sharing them, and that's okay. That's okay to let different energies go that comes into your life and all this other good stuff so you can keep growing instead of trying to hold on to something or somebody, and it's time for them to mature and go.
Yeah. The Buddhists talk about it in terms of accumulation and dispersion. All things, our bodies, all, you know, families, businesses, they all accumulate and disperse, which makes me
All
think
accumulated, dispersed. This is good.
sort of the breatharian process too, the accumulation that we absorb through eating for 40 years, and then when you start making changes, you break up and disperse this accumulation, and all of it is the process of becoming, right?
And I'm glad you brought that up because, all right, breaking up so it could disperse, but also this is what was missing on the breatharian journey that we're bringing up now. Your accumulation or your absorption of the new energy you're trying to go into. Before, people was breaking up the old one, but they haven't developed a place to go. They haven't developed that place to go on a journey. So that's what's coming on the scene that's here now, that more and more people is getting it, even though it's been said over the decades. Yes, you got to do something. I had to let people get that old spiritual new age stuff out of their system.
I'm so amazed. It's so incredible because, you know, I've been following you for probably a decade or more. You know, you've been a guide to me and others. And I remember you saying early on, you know, breatharianism is going to become as popular as veganism is becoming. You know, as we move into the light and as we understand the science. And now there's so many people talking about the science of getting in the sun, the science of fasting, you know, the science of juicing, the science of, you know, all these things, you know, and as you said all along, it's just the health message. This is just what we are. We're all breatharians, and we're just, and as you always said too, that it's been so helpful to concentrate on more the path of energy management, energy cultivation, and really, I'm getting this sense as I go and on through the path that really the whole thing is about regulating our nervous system and just being at ease.
Here we go. You making it down to earth. I like that. It's a
Yeah,
health message.
it's so,
Nothing magical, spooky about it. It's just a health message.
yeah.
And that's how you know you're on the right path. You're healthy.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Physical level, emotional, mental, social, all of this.
Well,
It's just the way it is.
you're also a very good example of how, uh, as we age, we can actually refine our chi and become, just more and more refined. Uh,
Right.
more subtle in our understanding and at these things that are hard to grasp. Um,
Exactly.
and
This
it's
is
a
where
consciousness
experience
thing.
pays. This is where experience pays off.
Yes, yes,
Your experience will get a lot more refined because you're doing it. And as time keeps going, you'll get better and better. Perfect practice made perfect. So if a person
mm-hmm,
been in the game and put their dues in, you're going to know a lot more. It's just as
mm-hmm,
simple as that.
mm-hmm. Yes,
Ain't no hitting
yes.
and skipping.
And another thing that's been really resonating in my mind of your teaching lately that I just want to chant out again for the community and hear your thoughts on some more of uh, in this journey, giving yourself permission and sort of
Mm,
the 80-20 sort of rule where you'll actually, if you can be consistent 80% of the time and give yourself that 20% room, that's more realistic. No one can bat 1,000.
right. And
Yeah,
we're not built like that to do 1,000 all the time. Nobody is.
yeah.
Even though you see that person on an outward level, sort of like, what's his name, Goggins.
Mm-hmm.
A lot
Yes.
of people know
David
Goggins and he
Goggins.
talked really, really hard. But I like what he said when somebody asked him, well, how much do you sleep? They thought he was going to say some real wild answer. But he said, well, I like getting 6 to 7 hours of sleep. Lately, I have been able to do it. But there's times when 3 hours of sleep is called, and I just tell my body we got to do it. Now, that was a down to earth answer so people can understand this. It ain't always trying to, I don't sleep at all. I don't do this at
Yes.
all. I never, never, never. All right, let's bring it down a little. You ain't there yet.
Mm-hmm.
And especially, I can see we call it a spiritual psychosis.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the younger people are, you tend to think like that until you live a little bit. Because one thing here for sure, you're here in life to have life experiences, not run
Yeah.
away from experiences. You should have never been born. What are you
Yes. Yes.
here for?
Right. Exactly. And it's not about not eating, as you've always pointed out. It's more
Right.
about the consciousness and freedom. And that's another thing I really admire about your example and just keeps me inspired of your freedom
Mm-hmm.
lifestyle, you know, and
Mm. I
and
love my freedom.
and the way it cultivates uh, spiritual goodness, you know.
Oh yeah,
To just be happy and be free is our divine right, everyone's,
our divine right. There's a price to pay for freedom. It goes back to here. There's a price to pay. This can lock you up, or this can make you free. So there's
Mm.
prices to pay. I think I was talking to somebody on the level of when we say no, because a lot of people don't like saying no because it sounds so negative. But when you say no, you're actually saying yes to something else.
If,
You're saying no over here, but you're saying yes to something else. Mm-hmm.
mhm.
Because you're
Oh,
allowed to do it.
I've learned that to be so important. A no, because my propensity when I was younger, I think a lot of younger people do this, especially in this day and age, but was to be
Mm-hmm.
people pleasing, just to
Yeah,
want to make everyone my friend,
want to
and
fit in.
and by doing that, I was bending myself in ways that were unnatural to me, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and it was
It'll take you there.
disruptive of my peace, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
so to learn to, and people do take, also working with my superfood business, asking people all the time, you want to try these superfoods? You learn
Right.
to, like, it's just like offering a cup of coffee or offering someone, your seat on the bus, or, you know, they may want it, they may not, you know, and that's okay, you know. And when you speak a no, it's more loving. Oh, looks like Elitom froze up a minute.
What?
There you are. You're back.
Here I go.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but a no is more loving because it's more honest to self and other,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Right. Now, vice versa, all right, when you say no, you're saying yes to something else because you're allowing yourself, I'm saying no to this, but I can do this now. But at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, when you say yes to things, because there's that yin and yang, that full circle, you're saying no to something else.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's good or bad, you're saying
Mm-hmm.
no to something else. So that's just life right there. So we're refining, if anything, our decision making, our cognitive thinking skills. And that's why they say your thoughts create your reality.
Oh, that it's so juicy. That's so juicy because it makes me think about the whole thing of, you know, multiple timelines and the Mandela effect, and every little choice we make ends up refining or changing the reality, our reality. And then
Mm-hmm.
that, as we're doing that collectively, that is creating a collective reality. So,
Absolutely.
you know, and another message I love that you always share is that we are living in a very prosperous and golden era, and that we're moving
Oh
into
man,
the light.
this
Um,
is so powerful.
and
And when
with
you're
so much,
dealing with the health message, you know, we got YouTube, social media. The health message is all on there, whether it's good or bad. More and more people are talking about health, and then and of course, energy is more on the scene than ever before.
mm-hmm,
So these generations now, I mean, they're eating it up. Of course, you got the people who still hold on to their old belief systems. It's okay, but as time keeps going on, the other frequencies are getting stronger and stronger. The message takes care of itself. It's just as
mm-hmm,
simple as
yeah,
that. Nobody owns it. It didn't come from. You got to make a commitment to this group or that group. It don't have nothing to do with that. And at the end of the day, when you're showing signs of health, it speaks for itself because you can't buy it. Nobody can give it to you. That's a sign that you earned it. When you
right.
got a
You,
high energy, you earned it.
yeah, it's work. It takes discipline, but
Mm-hmm.
I think you might have said it. I don't know where I heard it, but I love this idea of to be disciplined is to be a disciple of yourself,
Oh yeah, that
and
was
to
me.
get what you want. Yeah, I think that was you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Love
One of
that.
those.
I love that because people shy from this discipline, but we all know that that's the way to righteousness, to a happy,
That's it right there.
you know, productive life. Is that you have to get up and do things consistently. You know.
People don't like that word because they don't want to take responsibility and work.
Mm-hmm.
That's that lazy side of us. That what
Yeah.
they call that the Thomas state in the three gunas. And
Mm-hmm.
everybody kind of has it. They keep falling back to sleep. So that's why they shun that word. And you got to really start learning to love it so you can wake up. But it's slowly and gradually. That's why we've been teaching the breath there in that message. That's why I shy away from those messages when people just act like one day they just woke up forever and it was there like they're special. That message is fading more and more as we get more educated.
Mm-hmm.
See, knowledge takes away ignorance.
Yes.
You know, just people getting over on people's spiritual ignorance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We got to say it.
Yep.
Because time will tell as you're on this journey.
Mm-hmm.
I see many come and go.
Mm-hmm. Yes. 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 It's yeah. It's that thing of like you really have to be in love with the journey and not the product of the journey. You know,
Right.
I have a mind to ask, you know, I was thinking about getting on here and talking with you today. And of course, I had questions stewing for the last like year or more. And so it's like, oh, what questions do I ask him? And I was like, I'm just going to have a natural conversation. But, you know, you know, I know what you mean, but at the same time, I have like these, like, how did you transition from liquid to, you know, more more breath, more prana. And I also love that your message is about solar breatharianism, the connection with the sun. But I
Mm-hmm.
also would include, in the conversation, all the elements, earth, wind, fire, and water, be, because just touching the earth, like you taught before, and like is becoming borne out in research. We're absorbing energy from the earth through our feet if we're barefoot, you know.
Well,
Um, the water in the air, or the waters in our body, or if you're taking waters, that our body is mostly water, and that's part of this electrical, that water is a conductor for electricity, and
mm-hmm.
so I my experience and understanding and guidance is that all, like in the Buddhist terms, it goes down to the cellular nature and the atomic nature too, is like all karmas are self-balancing, self-realizing, self-solving, sort of. So
Well, the
let me,
reason. Oh, go ahead.
no, I just want to get your thoughts on all of those things in terms of like transitioning, the elementals, you know, and how people can embrace this, now in this time where there is this science to back all this up. I know you have a ton of that in your brain. How just a good little nugget of your wisdom of a drop of how to make these transitions for someone who's, I know also that there's the mental component of believing and that desire to go there. So that was a lot to put down, but those are some of the things that I like to try to share, on my channel, for people who also want to embrace this journey to get realistic about it.
All right. There's a reason why I put solar on the front of it. It don't mean go stand directly under the sun, because people try to do that, and all they're going to do is get dehydrated. You're not going to get more energy. That's all that's going to happen. You got to understand what I'm saying. And I keep saying meditation is the foundation of this journey, because it is one of the number one tools. Just like if you was digging a garden, it's best to have a shovel. You can do a lot more instead of trying to just do the whole thing with your hands.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that real. Get the
Yeah.
tool that works.
Yes.
So
Yes.
now you brought up the different elements. First of all, the sun is our primary energy source. It means number one. Even the foods people eat now, everybody is dependent on the sun. You got to take it back there. Grounded with the earth. What are you grounding for? To get the electrons that's on the earth that came from the sun. The reason why you have waves in the ocean and how the waves is moving. Now we could say by the moon, but technically it's by the sun. Both of their gravitational pulls are offsetting each other. We could go all into that. It's the sun again. And then when you deal with your weather changes, dealing with the wind and the air, that's from the sun. And I'm just not making all this
Oh
up so
yeah.
we can be clear. So when we talk about the elements, we ain't got to make it harder than what it really is. On this journey, you're going to deal with the solar energy. We could call it prana, chi, Holy Spirit, your aura. You got an electromagnetic field going around your body. Listen at that word. Now let's go into the air you're living in. You live in an electromagnetic spectrum. And you know why that's there? Because of the sun. We could technically say the sun is God.
Yeah.
To get away with it. There ain't no argument that could knock that under the table. So to be a breatharian, that's the energy source that you're dealing with. We're gonna take off the gloves now.
Yeah.
This is why
Well,
people say, "Oh, I'm juicing or I'm eating more fruit," because in your mind you're trying to make up that you're trying to get more of the solar energy,
mhm. Well,
even though that's not it.
that's been my experience, is like moving to slowly to more rarefied forms of prana, right? So back in
Well,
the
prana
day,
is the sun. Let's go
eating,
back to it.
right?
See,
And
when
I
we use
think that,
those words, that makes people think you're trying to get something else that you haven't been taught about. That's the deception behind that.
well,
I
yeah, I
know this
am,
through my teachings. It ain't prana,
yeah.
it's solar energy you're ultimately trying to get.
So, that's my thinking is, I kind of use words interchangeably because my thinking is prana solar energy, electricity, consciousness, and God are basically all interchangeable.
All one.
It's all just different
That,
descriptions from different vantage points of the same thing, um,
right.
and that really this path is about um, embodying that consciousness. It is this freedom consciousness of that solar energy, that highest vibration consciousness, right?
And see,
And but going from denser foods at the beginning of my journey when I was still eating meat and all that stuff and moved, to veg and raw, and then now into liquiditarianism, and dry fasting. I I feel the way there's just more freedom, less encumbrance, more energy, more prana, more consciousness as I journey, you know. But
yeah.
it's this slow, gradual, and I think it was different for you. It's different for everybody I see who is on the pranic path. We have our own sort of unique path to walk toward
Well,
toward the light.
all roads lead to Rome.
Yeah, right.
And like I said to somebody yesterday, even though we got these different paths, like one time I threw a chili cook-off, as a fundraiser,
Yeah.
and but one thing for sure, at least let it be chili. There's different ways you can make chili. Make sure it's chili. Don't
Mm-hmm.
journey on this path. You're not talking about this path. I'm making it plain. Now going back to what you said, how you know all of these words is interchangeably. Some people can do that, but a real good teacher told me one time, Elitom, when you teach, make sure you stick with one word so people can be clear what you're talking about, because everybody's not dissecting it the same way.
That's
Somebody
good
got a
advice.
message on here now. How about the energy from the light within instead of the sun? You will have no light within if it wasn't for the
Mm-hmm.
sun. This is why death
Right.
is there. The electricity left. The carcass is still there. So we got to stop talking fables and spookiness. And this is what you're dealing with. You're oh my gosh. And we got equipment now that can back up what I'm saying. Because we got biophoton therapy. We could go all day long. But your electromagnetic field is a force coming in the body, out and around, in and out and around. You're breathing it. That's why pranayama and breath work is powerful if you actually knew what that tool is for. You're just not breathing in oxygen. You're also breathing in the electricity in the air. And you could go right to the hardware, buy a voltmeter, and check the voltage that's in the air right now. So everything I'm talking is really, really down to earth. So this answers your question. This is why I talk solar. There's nothing else. Matter of fact,
Okay.
you live in a solar system, not just the planet Earth, the solar system. Mercury, Venus, Neptune, all of them is highlighted by the sun. It's lit up the whole solar system, not just this planet.
Yeah.
So on a solar journey, I mean, you could talk other ways or go other ways, but at the end of the day, we want to see the proof, and see where it took you. And then we can talk. But right now, this is working. We're working with the primary energy source that everybody knows that if it wasn't for it, we wouldn't be alive. And this is what we mean by ancient knowledge, because in ancient times, this was prevalent all over the planet before it got dumbed down in religion.
Yes. Yes.
And we know it.
Yes.
Jesus Christ, I'm sorry, not step on nobody's toes. That's a symbolism of the sun. We go all day long.
Yeah, there's that whole thing of, him dying on the cross, at winter solstice, and then 3 days where it doesn't move, and then it rises again, and it's the Son of God. That's
why the Bible is the greatest story ever retold. But it's just talking about something else that people are doing now.
I think
this is the solar breatharian journey.
Yeah.
If you connect with that energy source, you will have a lot of benefits. I'm going to start there. And for those who really understand the knowledge, you will make your transition.
And I think Yeshua was an actual historical person who understood this knowledge, but then they transposed him over onto ancient systems of occult understanding of astrology and all these different things, because that was like a political way to get everybody involved, socially, But I think what the breatharian wisdom is to empower us all once again to the knowing that we have direct connection, you know,
Oh,
to
exactly.
the
I mean, we could go all day long try to talk about history.
yeah,
I wasn't there, you wasn't either.
right.
All I know right now, where I'm living now, the sun is the primary energy source, and I can see it.
Hmm. And you can feel it.
I
You
mean,
can feel it.
what's the argument?
Oh man, no argument, none,
What's the debate?
none,
Then I'm
none.
sitting here at the equator, where the
Yeah,
influx is even bigger, and I got this information. I know.
I've been wanting to talk to you
What?
about that too, brother, because I went to Costa Rica in the fall, and my family heritage is from Panama, but just going down there, the direct equatorial sun, the
Whole different
prana
ball
in the
game.
air was it was I thought I was going to transition. I wanted to stay so badly, and I came back to the winter cold, and I was just like,
Right,
and less sun, and I
right.
feel that year by year, just with the seasons in my practice with Breatharianism, when I get
Oh,
up to the middle of
absolutely.
the summer, it's so much easier for me to fast and go longer and dry fast longer and everything.
Absolutely.
And, and the
Mm-hmm.
winter, it drops, and I have to, take on more nut milks and things, and um,
See, and all the breatharian knowledge did was it ain't teach nothing new, but what it did is it brought the whole puzzle together.
yeah.
Because there was people already fasting, and
Mhm.
then when they first heard of the breatharian message, people kept trying to fast their way in and falling on their face because it's beyond
Right.
fasting. See, the reason why you're fasting, this is what I'm teaching my group of students now. The reason why you're fasting so you can have a better meditation, because the meditation is what connects you with the light.
Yes.
Fasting by yourself is not going to do it. So
And
you got to develop a strong meditation practice. And for people to say, well, I meditate, no, it's very hard, especially in the beginning. You got what you
I,
call a monkey mind, and everybody goes through it.
oh, I've been meditating for 30 years, and I've still got monkey mind, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
It's okay to say
I don't
that.
think it goes away. I think you just get better at letting it
You get
do its
better
shadow.
at knowing how to deal with this mind
Yeah. Right.
because it got a lot to say.
Yeah. It's
It's just
consciousness.
that real.
It's just this
Yeah.
massive torrent of energy of consciousness, and it has
The
to flow.
energy's moving, boom, 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 boom. Yeah, you got to stay in it as long as you can. I mean, consistently, because the more you get out of it, I don't care how long you've been meditating, you get out of it for a while, you got all of this stuff accumulated again. You got to fight through it. I mean, it's a deep game, but it's all dealing with these energies
I, I agree
again.
with you so much. I feel like I think this is the number one thing for humanity right now, because we're
Mm-hmm.
so wrapped up in, it makes me think of course, my Buddhist leanings, and they talk about the things that undo our happiness are gain and pleasure. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
pleasure and pain, gain
Mm-hmm.
and loss, praise and
Mm-hmm.
blame, and fame and disrepute, you know, and that we're always like chasing these things to try to be happy, try to be more whatever. And those thoughts are the thoughts that afflict us and keep us all
Exactly.
bound up
This is
energetic.
afflicting you. Mm-hmm. And
And
like you said, it don't go away, but the longer you're in the game, the more you know how to deal with it.
right, right.
You know
and
how to
just
tell it that, okay, you sit down.
and just to stay centered, to just relax. I
Mm-hmm.
think I don't know where I heard this one, but either it might have been you. I've listened, absorbed so much of your content over the years, but of the only thing to master is how to relax.
Yeah, yeah. Here
Yeah,
we go. Relaxation journey. Because matter of fact, I don't know if you noticed, I did change it from the solar breatharian journey. I'm making this new transition. Now it's going to the solar renewal journey.
mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah,
the more you can understand and take part in your renewal, because you're always renewing yourself. Your body's always regenerating itself by its nature.
right.
The more you can do that and become good at it, allow it to happen, breatharianism is a byproduct of how good you can renew.
Yes, yes, yes.
That's why don't try to chase breatharianism. Just allow yourself to renew. And the more you, and the better you become at it, because you're going to keep regenerating.
Yeah.
That's just the
Cell-
byproduct.
Cellular renewal.
Mm-hmm. We do it by
Yes.
nature. We're always dying and coming back to life, dying and coming back to life.
Mm-hmm.
But how well you can do it and understand this takes place, you're just taking part of your homeostasis. That's the energetic balancing act of the body. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that real. And then dealing with the atomic level of our structure, there's a thing called intrinsic energy. So we talk energy cultivation, we're talking about our internal energy exercise. Now, intrinsic energy, internal, they're side by side. Your internal energy, you think of your organs and stuff, so that's why you need to do those exercises, to exercise internally, get that energy there. But your intrinsic structure is dealing with your atomic structure, your molecular structure, and your ions. You're building up that. And that, how should we say, is your true nature. That's actually the breatharian body. Because mass and weight is two different things. A lot of people haven't mastered weight because their intrinsic energy isn't built up yet. Oh man, this is a whole lesson in itself.
You just dropped it, brother. That is so awesome. Yes. That is the stuff. That is the stuff we are. I've been saying this and feeling this for years, you know. We are energy. We are just pure energy, you know. And the sticky, the sort of a lot of the accumulation that happens is just this mental accumulation, you know.
Right. And listen to what you just said. The mental accumulation, but this is going to be another big one for a lot of people to swallow. We're getting it more and more. The mind and the body is one. So if there's accumulation in the body, that is your mental accumulation.
100%. Yes. That's why I work with people with juicing, you know, because most people, you got to get from where you're at to where you want to go. And that's a great way, a good way to ease your body more towards prana, you know.
Right. It's a lot more lighter.
Yeah.
A lot more lighter. You could juice a lot longer than drive fast and all this stuff. But I don't never tell people to drive fast.
Yeah.
You're just beating up on yourself, and it ain't that type of journey. However, again, center it around your cultivation. That should be the highlight.
Yeah.
So you can have a better cultivation.
Yeah, if you're there and it improves your cultivation to drive fast, that's the time to apply it. Yeah. I agree.
Oh, this is good.
I agree.
So now,
and I also really resonate with your message as an herbalist, because I've had a lot of people kind of come to me on the breatharian journey and going too hard in the paint, like you're talking about, you know, dry fasting too much, you know, and I got to slow them back down, you know, and the whole thing of food as prana, as a way to breatharianism, eating your way to breatharianism instead of fasting your way to breatharianism.
Right. Now somebody said, why don't you recommend dry fasting? Now somebody just asked that.
Yeah, Haruka Bird. Go ahead. Why don't
Well, the reason is, well, especially on the breatharian journey, the first thing a person's going to do is try to dry fast to become a breatharian, because that's what they think it is, and all you're going to do is hurt yourself. You're not there yet. So that's why I don't recommend it. Leave it alone, for number one. Number two, we're in an age where we got so many different forms of fasting out there, because keep in mind, your kidneys and your liver is already detoxing for you. They do it naturally. I just want to bring that up, so we won't overdo it.
Can I add real quick about that? Why I wouldn't recommend dry fasting is that, you know, as an herbalist, what I've come to study and understand and know is most people get themselves in trouble fasting because of the liberation of the toxicity that's in their body that happens too quickly, and then you poison your own blood, you know.
Here we go.
So if you haven't taken a journey and slowly, the intestinal broom of the fiber, the juices, and fasting, with water or juice, and then building up, then that can really can mess you up.
Can mess you up. And especially on this journey, it ain't no quick fix. So you got to get over it. This is for the long haul. So your duties in life, because everybody got their different lifestyles, or we do say different paths. I don't know what your work is, who you're dealing with. I don't know what relationship you're in, how old your children are. All of that comes into play. And the people around you, if you got responsibilities and duties, they're going to need you there.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You don't want to try. It's a shame when people lose their life trying to be healthy.
Mm-hmm.
There's people died on this journey and many other journeys trying to be healthy and overdo it. That's a shame.
Mm-hmm. And also ways in which they lose, like maybe their life in other ways, a job they liked, after all, a relationship, because they become so
all
fixated.
The time.
And that was valuable advice you gave me, is eat with your family once a week, just to stay connected to them. And
here we go.
And I did that, and it advanced my progress. I was able to let it go then too, and just sit with them. And after a time, that was the right thing for me to do at that time.
Here we go. You're juggling your whole life because your whole life is energetic. You can fast till you blue in the face, but if you're in a bad relationship, that's going to lead you to eating and other stuff, because it's messing with your mind. Mm-hmm. You want to deal with all of these energies because you're being fed in many more different ways than you think. Good words can feed you. This is good, ain't it?
Yes. It always is.
People got to get this.
Yes.
And then when you do got a good means of a livelihood, that's a whole nother mindset than you being, your needs are not being met, dealing with poverty and financial distress. That's hard on you, will lead you to do certain things. So you want to balance out everything with wisdom so it can feed you gradually and slowly, and then you just keep developing as you're living your life. But if you think that, this is what people think, because they got this ascension in their mind. They think, I'm going to escape the matrix. Boy, if I could become a breatharian, all problems is just going to drop to the ground. Actually, it's going to bring you, I got news for you, it's going to bring you more into reality than ever before. The reason why you're eating and getting numb now, because you hate reality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're avoiding. Right.
You're avoiding reality.
Right.
This is really going to put you in a reality.
And there's responsibilities and things there. But it's a blessing. It's not like a heavy burden.
It's a blessing.
Yeah.
Well, you can handle it.
Yeah.
That's why you got to grow gradually and slowly.
If you don't do the work, then you get a heavy burden. If you do the work, you get the blessing of lessening.
Now you got to feel those emotions. You just went through a breakup and it's hurting. Now you got to feel it instead of saying, let me go get my chocolate cake to numb it up, or let me go get my alcohol to numb it up. That's what people do now. Now you're going to feel it.
Well, we're addicted to our emotions too. We're addicted
to the emotions.
Addicted to anger, addicted to stress. It's a stimulation,
Now look what you just said. Because most people do make decisions off of emotional decisions. They don't, even if they don't realize it. Mm-hmm. It is your body again. Mm-hmm. It ain't just floating around the thought process. It's in your body. Now, are you going to get rid of your emotions? When you get a high vibration, what it's saying is, because your emotions come from nature, your nature. That's why you got them. However, they'll be easily dealt with. Let's make it plain and easy again. They'll be easily dealt with because you're no there in the mix. And that's another good thing why you want to fast, because when you get to feeling your emotions, because they usually have feelings with them, it at least gives you a chance of meditation to feel how that feels. So when you're in your everyday life making decisions, it'll give you at least that little gap that you didn't have before you just responded.
I totally noticed that. I feel much lighter. I'm doing as I've been doing now for several years, 23 hours dry fasting and juicing.
Right.
But I feel, so much light, like this continuity of mindfulness, of presence of mind and awareness at a greater level that becomes greater and greater towards the end of my fast.
Right.
And then break it. And I really feel like the nutrition and the fasting are two parts of one of the yogas of breatharianism, one of the ways or, disciplines.
Well, well, the first nutrient is light. The
Yes,
first
right.
nutrient is light. So that's why you're connected. Now, this goes back again. This is why we call it the solar breatharian knowledge.
Yes,
When we talk about photonic energy, photon just means light, and
right.
that's what the sun is giving you, photons. See how
And
this
that's what's
works
in fruit.
in the gym?
That's what people, gets nourishment from fruit and is more the electrolytes, the water, and the photons. The electrical elements is what brings health.
Right.
That renewal,
Well,
that solar,
let's take
that solar energy just moving through in a different form.
well,
You
let's
know.
take it a step further because I'm gonna come this way
Okay.
with it. That was good what you said, but knowledge goes in levels and degrees.
I'm on
What it
all of them.
is when a person say I got more energy from the fruits, is because it's a lot lighter, it's going to the system faster, and it takes less energy to digest it than something that's heavier. So it really didn't give you more energy, it just gave you the impression that you had more energy.
Right. Right. It actually takes more energy out of you to break.
Here we go.
There's many foods that will take more energy out of you to break down
The
than you will get from them.
breakdown is exactly. And all of them is doing something.
Yeah.
So that's why ultimately, this is why we're talking about going all the way to the light.
And they
Because
all have
everything else
toxicity.
does take something, yeah. Some things are just more denser than others. So the path is basically try to lighten up and eat less. Lighten up and eat less as you're
Yeah.
cultivating, growing your other energy channels. Now,
And that was really also helpful advice. Sorry to interject, but that really helped me just for the all out there when you said do something that you can do consistently, easily for
yeah,
long periods of time.
right. Now,
Yeah.
just like when I go to the gym now and I'll be working out, I'm always flexing. But to build up a muscle, it takes repetition, and we can understand that. If you want to build everybody got muscle, but if you want to build it up, you got to challenge it. You got to go break it down and let it rest. Break it down and let it rest so it can grow.
Mm-hmm.
We understand that. So this is why, so I can let people know why you're doing an energy cultivation meditation exercises. The reason why you're doing it because it's an exercise, just like the external ones, but this is working for the inward organs. And you got a system in the body because you got different systems. Your circulatory system, your immune system, your endocrine system, up to 11 or 12. But now we got our primal vascular system. It's new to the West to many people, but it's out there now. That's why they allow acupuncture to be in hospitals now on certain people's health insurance. Or the medical profession won't let it. You do got a system that deals with that. So that primal vascular system, listen to that word. Primal means first. That's the first system of all the other systems, or they wouldn't even work. This is what you're building up when you're meditating, so people can know.
Wow.
This isn't spooky.
Yeah.
Now, the more you do it through repetition, the bigger your fascia, as it gets the energy channels going through it, it gets stronger and bigger, just like making a muscle. This is muscle. But it just didn't happen. I woke up one day and said, look at this. I went every day, breaking it down, letting it rest. You're doing the same on the internal. Is this making sense?
Totally.
This is why you got to do it.
Totally. Totally.
And if it's stronger, it can handle stronger electricity or voltage that's in the atmosphere that came here by the sun.
Yes.
Oh, man. I just got high.
And me too.
And when you're dealing with a bodybuilder, all right, there's some people that go to the gym, they're throwing around weights. We got that. However, there's some people that got, better genetics or whatever. Even if you ain't have it, they're going for Mr. or Mrs. Olympia. And for people to go for that, it's a lot more serious on how they're lifting. A lot balance to bring out the whole body. So a breath in, what makes them different than a light worker, a lot of people working with light and working with energy, but you got some who's more in at the elite levels because they're taking the training a lot more serious to build their vascular system. That's why we're doing it. Right now, for people to know, I'm doing Qigong 3 times a day. I mean, right, and that's a lot. A lot of people can't handle that.
I would do so much more, and I feel that's another thing that has been, part of the balance for me, of course, is balancing family and business, and my heart of hearts wants to a freedom from that, but my path and part of my purpose is there, so I have to acknowledge and work with that.
Right.
But I feel like there'll be a time and place when I can work on this more seriously. And even as it is, I spend a good 2 hours a day or more between meditation, sun gazing, and qigong in practice. And I really feel like we were talking about before, I think this is going to be the healing of the whole planet, is us regulating our nervous system again, us realizing that we are autonomous, powerful beings of energy and creation, that we have this amazing creative capacity. And if, like Buddha would say, if we can make one person happy and that was ourselves, and everyone did that, we would just have world peace. But it takes that responsibility.
And like we said, going back to lifting weights, we don't expect a newcomer to put on a whole lot of weights and they start lifting it. We don't expect that compared to somebody who's been in the game decades. That's not going to happen, nor is they going to last that long. So even if you started out 20 minutes a day, that's awesome. You know what I mean? If you started on this path, but developing your energy cultivation first, the fasting, the diet, all of that wraps around it. If they can understand it, because you need to lift and get this stronger, your primal vascular system.
Well,
you need to get it stronger.
There's also a dielectric that happens between, the microcosmic orbit that you've been sharing, the Dallas cosmic orbit, that circuit, it's an actual circuit. And when you breathe up, it sparks electricity up in the piezoelectric crystals, up in magnetite crystals in your pineal gland and your pituitary gland. And as it drops down, it goes up and down with the breath, like you were saying, it actually creates electricity. So you're talking about the building of the structure for that. And I remember being in your presence, King, of feeling, it's almost like I could feel your root chakra wide open,
Well, I'm glad you brought that up to let people know they do get the piezoelectric crystals in their body.
Yeah.
So that's one thing when I'm teaching, I bring it down to earth to let you know what you got going on in your body that has these electrical charges. That's why you should be able to develop it.
And then your bones are a resonator, a conductor, a semiconductor, a superconductor, and are also piezoelectric and piezoelectric. So
all in one. The whole equipment is here. But now it's time for you to do it.
Right.
So it's just like being a bodybuilder again, because I always compare it with bodybuilding, because it is. You are building up your body.
Yeah.
It ain't about believing, wishing. That's not going to do nothing. You got to build up your body to hold this electrical charge, because your body and your mind is one. So going back into this, see how I'm talking more down to earth ever than before? No, my way is your way, your way. Okay, let's see.
You're brilliant.
Prove it,
brother. I love it.
Like they say in bodybuilder said, he's new in the scene. He said, we could go all day long. It's been here for a while on the techniques that need to be done to build yourself up. It's already out there. You need to do the work.
Yeah, right.
And going back to my life when I said I do 3 times a day and stuff like this, I've been doing this over 20 years. It took a while to build up to that. There was a time I couldn't handle that charge, but I also consciously created my life for this. I stayed away from certain relationships, stayed away from making new children, live by myself. You know, I created that. I could have went
Yeah.
another way.
That
There's
that
a
that's the
price to
thing.
pay for everything, my friend.
I think that's a huge lesson and a thing to, share. I love that you shared that because we're so kind of collectively oriented to externalize our happiness through our job and our this and our that. But if you're not doing the care on your body and thus your spirit, then
Right.
you're missing out on the
You're
real
missing out.
gold of living, and the
There we go.
freedom vibration that it brings, like you're
It's
missing out.
huge.
Yeah.
So as time goes, you keep developing, and certain things that used to probably mean a lot to you will start breaking off. You know,
Yeah.
materialistically, I'm speaking. Because
Exactly.
other than that, a lot of things do take a lot of. We understand care take. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But like I said, when you start dealing with the elite players, that this is all they do. Hold up now.
There's gonna be a day for
We're talking
me.
straightforward.
There's gonna
We're not.
be a day for me. I'm going all in. I That's my retirement.
Right.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
somebody did put. They just did a qigong with Jerome, and they said it was awesome. Right. Keep up the great work. And I'm glad Jerome got his group
He's doing
cultivating it.
great.
Cultivating it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The message is spreading. We got lots of family here. We got Nabiha, we got Jules, Jerome is working, Haruka is into this. Like, it's growing. This message is growing, and because it is natural, as we were talking about before, it is just your natural self. It's the natural way to health.
It's our natural self. And now, just to talk about a little bit here, we did change our time for this time so we can really communicate. And I love it once again. Now, the reason I did it because I got this group I got to go meet now. But guess what? We're about to cultivate for 2 hours.
Awesome.
See, I told you we all in it.
Yes.
We're going full goal every day. Because keep this in mind. Once you discover the light, a lot of people haven't discovered it yet. But once you discover it, there's something that could click in your mind one day that will say, since it's my turn living, I want to make it grow the biggest and best it can actually grow.
Full effort.
Full effort.
Yeah.
And you ain't got to start all like that all at once because you got to take care of things, do your life a certain way. But as time goes on, it should progress. And then you'll be at these other levels where you'll be talking this way instead of trying to compromise.
Yeah. That's the juice. That's the thing that's the keys to heaven. I feel like, really, we all have heaven within us, and
the heaven within us.
We just got
it's there. The potential.
Yes.
That's why they use that word potential energy, because a lot of people, like you said earlier, everybody's a breatharian. However, I come back and just say everybody's a breatharian of potential.
Yes.
And that's so people can understand safety first. Safety first.
Yes.
Because you will starve to death if you don't really get some knowledge and really learn how to cultivate yourself for what this thing is about.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And then once you get those keys, get the safety, give yourself time to grow, and you're really working to be a consistent, you could take it as far as you want to. Oh,
yes.
Man.
Oh, man.
This is good.
This has been great, Tom. Thank you so much. I want to respect your time. I'm so grateful for your teaching, for your example, for your guidance, leadership, friendship, all of it. Love you.
Love you once again. Peace and blessings. I had the best day and night ever. Tell the family I said hi.
Okay. Peace, family. One love. Have a blessed day.